This is Gamble Quest, where we discuss all things gambling, poker, blackjack, roulette, dice. It doesn't matter. If you're gambling on it, we discussing it. Let's go on this journey together as we educate ourselves on the gambling world. What's up, everybody? This is Emmanuel at Gamble Quest. Gamble Quest is a podcast and YouTube channel. And today we're going to be interviewing my friend Magoo. Magoo's been around as long as I've been playing poker when I first started going to Derby Lane. First thing I want to say, Magoo, is thank you for taking time out your day and speaking with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. And I wanted to start off by congratulating you on your new venture and wishing you all the best and great success with this. I think it's really admirable. One of the things that I've always liked about you is you are a risk taker. You will try new things. You will put yourself out there. I really respect and I really like that about you. Best of luck.
Thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate that. The way I look at it, Magoo, is we got one life to live, and if it comes to your mind, if it ain't hurting or harming nobody, go ahead and try
Amen. Amen. I
it.
love it. I love it.
But my first question to you, Magoo, is what does poker mean to you?
Poker to me has always been competition.
Mhm.
And that's what I loved most about it is its competition. And it's something that it doesn't matter what sex you are, what transgender you are, what color you are, what your background is. Everybody has a shot.
Mhm.
And everybody, hopefully in any given session, hopefully somebody has some wins. And of course, we're
Absolutely.
always going to have some losses. And I think that's one of the great things about it is it can teach us how to be a gracious winner and a good loser. One of the things I was thinking about this when I was preparing for our interview, I never remember seeing you throw a fit at the table. Everybody, we've played so many years. I've
Yes.
seen you take some bad losses.
Uh-huh.
I've taken my fair share, and I don't remember a time where I thought like you got out of line. Yeah, sure, you got upset, but everybody
Yeah.
does. But I never
Yeah.
saw you lose your cool.
Yeah.
And then again, this is something that I've always respected about you.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember the first time we ever played together? Do you got any? I don't even remember. You were kind of, I think, under the radar for many. I mean, I've been playing at Derby Lane 15, maybe 12, 10 years, something like that, a long time. And I don't remember our first time ever playing together. Do you?
My first remembrance of playing with you, Magoo, is we were either playing 1-3 when it was a 500 cap,
Okay.
or it either was the 1-2 game. You were waiting to go to the 2-5 game,
Mhm.
and I always looked up to the 2-5 players, man, because I was
Wow.
like, man, one day I want to play 2-5, man. It was either 1-2 or 1-3, and it just seems like you were playing loose.
Yeah.
Um, I think you lost a hand and you was like, I'm just gonna go over here to 2-5 or something like that. I don't remember the details, but that's my first remembrance of you. I was either playing 1-2 or 1-3, and you just jumped in the game while you were waiting on the 2-5 game. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, one day I'm gonna be over there playing 2-5.
Yeah. I was probably playing like I had ants in my pants
Yeah.
and no control at the 1-2. Yeah, probably. That sounds about right.
And I wanna touch back on that question is what is poker to you? I'm the same way when you said competing. It's
Hmm.
it's 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 competing, but to me, it's more than a game. The reason why I say that to me, this is my opinion. To me, is because we're playing for real money,
Hmm.
and life revolves around money.
Hmm.
A lot of people wake up in the morning, they go to work, they do certain things to get money, and
Hmm.
I think anytime you have money involved with something, it's a lot more than a game. And that's just my opinion of it. You know what I mean? And that's just the way I see it.
Right.
I can go in details about that, but it's not about me. This interview is about you. But what's your earliest memories of just gambling? Did it start off with poker, or was it something else that transitioned to poker?
I have three brothers. And when I was growing up, my family, every week we had family game night.
Hmm.
And I loved it. I was very competitive. You put me in any card game, board game, whatever, we're playing to the death.
Yeah.
And many years ago, I had a business and I had a contractor that worked for me. And he said, "Hey, Magoo, come on over Friday night. Me and some friends were having a poker game." And I'm like, and when I was in college, we played, I think, spades and euchre. Euchre was the big game in college.
Mhm.
And I love card games, any card game, spoons, anything. And so I
Mhm.
said, "Poker? I don't know how to play poker." He said, "Oh, we'll teach you." Great, count me in. So I don't remember how much I took that night. You know, it was a small. There was like five of us. I probably took 200, lost all my money, had a ball.
Uh-huh.
Said as I'm leaving out the door with empty pockets, "When you guys gonna do this again?" So of course, oh well, next weekend, can you come? Yeah, I'll come. So I think the first probably 6 months of playing poker, I never won.
Mhm.
Never. Didn't
Mhm.
have any idea about strategy. Didn't care because in any given session, you're gonna win a pot,
Mhm.
especially as a beginner when you play every hand to the river.
Yes.
You're going to win some pots, and that's going to give you that spike of adrenaline. You'll be like, "Oh yes, I got him!" And and that's what I live for is the "I got him." Uh,
Yes.
and so, at any rate, fast forward there, I ended up losing them every single time, and then
Mhm.
I moved to Chicago for a summer. And surprisingly enough, some poker guys found me there. Said, "Hey, come on over to our house Saturday night. We're having a poker game." Oh, I love poker,
Uh-huh.
and always lost there. And I got down to Florida eventually and found, hey, there's a Hard Rock. Imagine
Mhm.
that. And I would go in there every Friday or Saturday night or whatever, and bring a couple hundred or $1,000 and lose every time. I
Mhm.
literally don't think I can't remember ever cashing out. And I had a friend at the time and got to talking to him, and of course everybody wanted to be my friend because I was the donator. I was
Yeah.
losing every time. And I said, "Man, I lose every time and you win every time." And he's like, I said, "You must be the luckiest guy I know." And he's like, and here's a book. And I think it
Yeah.
was the Little Green Book of Poker, something
Uh-huh.
like that. It was very basic. And I
Uh-huh.
read that and I'm like, holy crap. No
Was
wonder
that
I
Phil
won.
Boarding? Phil, I think he was the author of that.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, Phil something. I don't remember
Feel
his last
something,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was very basic strategy. And back in the day, I mean, I can remember at Hard Rock playing 510 with a max $100 buy in. Whoo, what a fun game.
Wow.
What a fun, we were playing 510. It was the biggest game they had at the time. $100 max buy in.
What year was this?
This was, I mean, it had to have been 15 years, maybe even 17 years ago at this point.
Okay.
It's all kind of a blur. I
Okay.
do remember on my 40th birthday, I was there. And within like a half hour or 40 minutes, you could only buy in for $100.
Mm-hmm.
I built that up to $2,700, which was typical. You could either have a big run up or a big, you're rebuying every hand for $100.
Mm-hmm.
And like in an hour, I built it up to $2,700. And it was my birthday. And I was like, man, I could get out of here and go do some fun with this $2,700. And I'm like, and then I lost like the next hand for two or 300. And I'm like, oh, I can't leave now. I got to get that two or 300 back.
Yeah.
I spent the next 24 hours sitting in that seat, but I went back up to my plus 2,700, and then I'm like, okay, that was a fun birthday time to get out of here. I know it
That's
was when I was
great.
40, and so that was 16 years ago that they were
Wow.
playing max buying was $100, and I don't remember what.
510 with a max buy-in of $100.
Yes, and I don't.
Wow.
Everything was like a max buying of the two, the 2.5, the 1.2.
Uh,
Everything was a max buying of $100, and
mm-hmm.
at 510, it was pretty much you were just all in pre-flop with no matter. And eventually, if the table would sit there long enough, people would build up stacks, and then you
Mm-hmm.
played real poker. That was some fun times. That was
Mm-hmm.
really, really fun times in my book. That was like the golden era for me of poker back then.
Gotcha.
Because then you'd sit down at a poker table back then, and you were playing, I think, 9 or 10 handed, and 8 people at the table would have a regular job, and
Yes.
they were there to have fun.
Yes.
You go to the 510 now at the Hard Rock. How many people you think got a real job?
Maybe two, one.
Maybe two. Exactly.
Yeah.
82 people at that 510
Yeah.
these days have a real job.
Yeah.
So whew, that's a completely different game than it was 16 years ago. And
Yes.
it's pretty close. The 2.5 at the Hard Rock is getting there now too. I mean, you can go in there a lot of times and you look around that table and I know you, I know you, I know you, I know,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 7 pros
Mm-hmm.
and maybe somebody there on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully
Yeah.
one or two
Yeah.
guys. But that 2-5 game these days at the Hard Rock is super tough, man. It's all
Mm-hmm.
guys up doing the come up, trying to
Mm-hmm.
grind their way to the 5-10 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Tough game, man. It ain't like it was even 8 years ago. 8 years ago, it was still super easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really post COVID, and even before COVID, it was starting to get tougher. But I think COVID took a lot of fish out of the game and
Mm-hmm.
just recreational players. It's
Mm-hmm.
really tough to find a game where there's more recreational players than there are pros at the
Mm-hmm.
2-5 Hard Rock right now, is my experience as of late.
No, I agree with you 100%. The game has gotten very competitive.
Very.
And even the recreational players that people would say they are very skilled,
Oh, yeah.
so when you do go, you definitely have to go focus, you know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
It's just not a whole lot of room for error, I should
No,
say.
you're exactly right. Yeah. Back
um
in the old days, when you
mhm,
had $100 on the table, it
mhm,
was all pre-flop. And then, the chips fall where they may at that point until you build up
mhm,
stacks. And even then, nobody had GTO solvers. Nobody was,
mhm,
discussing gameplay at the table.
mhm,
They're just, and there certainly wasn't any team play back then.
mhm.
Now, I'm not going to say there are team players at the 2-5 at the Hard Rock, and I'm not going to say there aren't. I don't know. You
Okay.
look at the table.
Okay.
It's my suspicion.
Maguda, does that take the fun out of the game for you now? That it's not
Absolutely.
okay. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, the game is completely different now at the Hard
Mhm,
Rock
mhm,
than what it was, like I said, even just 5 years ago. Um, and that's why now I enjoy, there's a great little card room up in my home state of Michigan, the Gun Lake
mhm.
Casino. And I can go up there when I visit my daughter, and that room is unbelievable.
Nice.
It's a lot of retirees and people that have jobs and things like that. And I go and now, granted, they usually only get a 1-2 game. I think sometimes they get a 1-3, but it's not seven pros,
Mhm,
so yeah, that and they're the people that are playing there are there to have fun, and
mhm,
so you've got that fun gaming atmosphere. People are drinking, people are playing
mhm,
loose, they're
mhm,
splashing around, you're getting great stories. When I first got into poker, that was one of the things that I loved best about it was a gentleman's game, and there was a lot of great stories,
mhm,
and getting to know people, and getting there's really, I mean, poker players are a lot like you and I in that they're risk takers, they're entrepreneurs, they've got some
mhm,
interesting life stories. They're not boring people.
mhm,
Most poker players in days past, it's changing a little bit now because there's a lot
mhm,
of poker nerds and poker geeks at the table that, you know, but that's neither here nor there. But when we
mhm,
first started, I mean, man, it was a fun game. People there to have fun. And that's
mhm,
where it is a little bit now, I think, that I'm finding in smaller poker rooms. Uh, if you can still find them,
mhm.
granted, the games are going to be smaller, but yeah, you're right. It's not as much fun as it was 5 years ago.
So, uh, being in the state of game is like that now. How often do you play now?
I have actually been out of the game now for coming up on 6 months.
Okay.
I got out of the game. It was not fun anymore. It was not
Okay.
fun, and part of it is my problem. This is something I'm working on right now. I
Mhm,
am honestly, I've got severe ADHD.
mhm,
So, I mean, you've seen me in the past. When I'm playing the 2-5, I'm scrolling Tyndall, I'm scrolling Bumble, I'm scrolling Match, I'm watching Breaking Bad, and I'm
yeah.
doing this all at the same time and tracking every hand and da 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 da. And now that I'm remarried and I've seen everything on Netflix, I can't sit there and focus on a game for 8 hours straight. I can't. I am
Yeah.
dopamine depleted. When I look
Okay.
down at pocket aces and there's an ace on the flop and no straight, no flush, my heart rate still doesn't go up. You know what I'm saying? In the past, when you're a rookie and you look down at pocket aces, holy crap, I got
Yeah.
pocket aces. How am I going to exploit the max value out of this? What am I going to do? I don't feel any of that anymore. I am
No.
dopamine depleted, and I think that's a big thing that's going to be affecting a lot of people. And so I'm trying to go through a dopamine detox right now,
Mhm, mhm,
and it's complicated and it's tough. And so, like I said, I've been out of it for 6 months now. And just today, I binged watched a lot of your episodes,
mhm.
and man, I want to play. I want to play. You had some really interesting guests, and Angry Bobby. I remember playing against him. He had
Uh,
some great comments and great insights. But man, I like to be at the table with him. I love
Yeah.
to avoid a
You
table.
call him Angry Bobby.
Angry, he was always angry every time I played him. He was Angry Bobby. That's his nickname for me. Don't want to play a team with Riley. That guy is good. I've been watching him, also his Instagram. That
Yeah.
guy's good. He
Yeah.
is. I don't want to be at a table with him. I don't want to
He's
be.
he's one of those young professional
Yeah,
poker players that study the game and
yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Right, right. So I don't have the wherewithal right now. I'm turning
Hmm
56 this month. I've studied the max that I'm going to study poker. I'm not too interested in doing the solvers and all that. And I
hmm
just the game has lost its thrill for me. Now, I'm going to be traveling at the end of this month going up to Michigan. Will I probably go to the Gun Lake Casino there and playing that small? Yeah, I probably will because that was a
hmm
fun game. Um, and would I go down to Bonita Springs sometime soon? Yeah, I think I'd like to go down there.
hmm
But part of my problem here in the Tampa Bay area is now maybe it's changed since 6 months have gone by, but I feel like I was giving away a lot of information on tells because I'm a pretty expressive guy. And I
hmm
think too many of the players that I've played against for the last 10, 15 years know every tell I've got. And I think
hmm
that was affecting my win rate and hourly rate that I was
hmm
achieving. And I honestly believe back 7, 8 years ago when Derby Lane had the 2-5 game going every Friday and Saturday night, that game was great.
Yes, it was. Yes,
They
it was.
killed it when they allowed private games. They killed the 2-5 game at Derby Lane, and that's my biggest complaint with Derby Lane is
Yes.
they just destroyed it. I
Well, you
mean,
talk about the 2-5 no cap game. You remember talking about that
I
game?
love that game.
Yes,
I
yes.
can remember sitting in there at 2 a.m. on a Saturday or Friday night, and a drug dealer, and everybody knew he was a drug dealer, came walking up, and I've got $8,000 on the table, and he's like, "How much is that stack?" And he'd match it, and he'd sit down with $8,000, and that $8,000 was gone in a half an hour.
Yeah.
That was great games. That was
That
great games.
I definitely have some memories from that game. I had no business playing that game. I had not enough money to even be playing that game.
Uh huh.
But I would hop in there with my 3 400 and try to come up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that game was fun, and although I had no business being in that game, just because nobody was like studying back then, it was only
Right,
a few players
right,
studying the game back then.
right, right,
You always had a chance to win.
right.
It
Exactly.
wasn't it wasn't a guaranteed loss you sitting down
Right,
because maybe like three players would like study and everybody else
right.
was just playing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. It was such a great game,
Yeah.
so much fun, and like you said, anybody could win.
Yeah.
Anybody could win. And then hey, a guy like you in that perspective could sit down with 300 or 400 bucks, triple it up in one hand, and hit and run.
Yep.
And it really wasn't frowned upon because there was a long list of other people waiting to get in the game.
Exactly,
You
man.
know
Those
that
that
that game
yeah.
was perfect back in the day, and then they killed it when they started building the private games.
Yeah.
Um, so that's enough of that soapbox.
So Magoo, I want to just retouch on the dopamine thing you said. You're
Yeah,
dopamine depleted.
yeah.
And when you say dopamine depleted, is you don't get excited about poker per se, or just about in general a lot of things in life, or you just are we just specifically talking about poker?
In general, a lot of things in life, it takes a lot to get me
Okay.
excited because my body it doesn't have that chemical. It's not producing enough of that chemical because I'm blasting it away on my cell phone, and I have been for the last so many
Mm-hmm.
years since this stupid cell phone came out.
Mm-hmm.
Hate this dumb thing. I love it at the same time. But you get so many instant fixes right then and there,
Yeah.
and yeah, I have blasted through. Your body can only produce so much, and I blast through it every day. So I am attempting to reduce my social media content, and a
Okay.
big part of it has been not playing poker because
Okay.
poker can is should be
Yeah.
a shot in the arm of natural getting high dopamine, making you
True.
feel good. You know,
True.
I mean, poker is hours of boredom intermittently with 60 seconds of a rush of a lifetime. That's what it
True.
should be. You look
True.
down at a great hand, you're like, oh, great. Now, how do
True.
I play this? And then a few hours of boredom, and I'd
True.
watch Breaking Bad, and then come back to, oh, I got a good hand.
Yeah.
Uh, so I am trying to, get out in nature more, do things with my hands more,
Mm-hmm.
um, really just try to normalize,
Mm-hmm.
make me feel like a normal person. And a lot of it also is the ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really hard time paying attention to anything for any real length of time and not getting bored.
Cool.
and that's why I mean, I like about you is you will try things. You will
Hmm.
try things, and hey, failure is part of the game. And
Definitely.
I try a lot of different things, and I part of my problem. That's why so much mad respect for you for doing this is I know I should also be having a YouTube channel and a podcast and doing all that, and I haven't because
Yeah.
I'm too busy dicking around with other things.
Yeah.
But it's on my list of things to do because it's a great way to do some good things and make some money and be successful and be recognized and influence people. So props to you again for doing it.
Thank you. And Magoo, one thing I really respect about your game and still do is your talking ability. You have the ability to just speak without like degrading anybody or talking down on nobody. It's just the things that come out your mouth, bro. They're funny. They make the table a little bit loose. They get some people tilted. I don't know why. Because you're not, I don't know if you're trying to do it. That's part of your strategy. But tell me about how your talk game at the table.
Yeah, there's certainly some people that I want to tilt. Angry Bobby was so easy for me to tilt in the past, just so easy. I knew what buttons to push with him, and I could get it. And he was I it made me laugh when he said he doesn't tilt anymore. He certainly did in the past. I'd love to
Yeah.
play with him again, see if I can
Yeah.
push those buttons.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people I want to have tilted, and others I want them to have fun. Help me out. Who's the Asian woman that would come in every weekend and sit there for 48 hours straight? Uh,
Um,
Ellie?
Ellie,
Ellie.
Ellie.
I want that woman to have the best time of her life when she's at the table with me, and I want to
Yes.
make her feel special, and I want to make her feel loved, and I want to ask her about her chickens and her grandkids and her life and her trips and her person. She is there to have fun. We've
Yes.
got to give her that experience. If you're a poker pro, give people the experience they are there for.
Okay.
Some people, this is their social outlet.
Yes.
Make it social, make it fun. Don't tap on the glass. Don't tilt the whale.
Hmm.
You got to make friends with the whale and you make certain people feel special and loved. And because we live in a day and age right now where there is a huge disconnect. One of my best friends, he moved into a new house. He's never met any of his neighbors.
Yeah.
Never met. He's been there a couple months now, hasn't met one neighbor. That's the society we live in.
Yes.
People are going out to play poker. Some people are going out there to have fun.
Hmm.
Give them that fun experience. That's how a poker pro should be making money.
Gotcha.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that social aspect of the game is very important. And I try to be as friendly as social as possible.
You are
Sometimes competitive and emotions do take over. Sometimes where you're just trying to laser focused in, but but like you said, that people should be there to have a good time, and you should be part of the experience of the poker experience, and that's what makes the game. That's what made us fall in love with the game. It's
absolutely
it is the characters. I enjoy playing with you, and it's a good mixture of different people,
yes.
different races, and
Yep.
that's
Oh, I
one
agree.
thing I did like about it. Oh,
Absolutely. You are meeting people from all walks of life there, and the knowledge that is available at that table. I always feel like you can learn something from every person you meet. When I
mhm,
when I used to be single and I would go on a lot of dates, and I always thought with every day, hey, if I walk up and she's not my style, she's not my taste, I'm going to learn something from her. I'm going to
mhm,
learn something from meeting this person, so it's not a total waste of time. And the poker
mhm,
table can be the exact same way. There are so many people that have huge vasts of knowledge that are completely different than my knowledge and your knowledge, and I want to learn something from them if I can.
mhm,
I mean, there's
mhm.
some really great people that are there, successful people in their own right. Hey, tell me your story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that aspect is greatly decreasing in the last couple of years, and we need to bring that back.
Yes.
The game needs to be fun, or it's
Definitely.
all just poker pros swapping money, and you have to have somebody at that table that is actually getting a paycheck from somebody to bring in new money. Otherwise, it's all going down those two little holes at the poker table eventually.
Yes. Definitely. And I want to touch back on just real quick, Magoo, table talk and um some of your famous lines that I love.
Oh boy.
is well, I know two of them on top of my head. Very aggressive. Very aggressive. That's one of your famous lines I love. And another one is that's the one hand I can beat. That's those are two. You bro, you got so many classic lines that people still use in the poker room today that didn't even play with us. You know what I mean?
They're just being passed down. That's
It's just
awesome.
been passed down, bro. And I said that's a Magoo line right there. And Magoo, and you also spoke about you being at a table and going when you used to be dating and going through Tinder and all that.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you.
And I know your wife had an accident,
Yeah.
and I'm glad she's doing better.
Yeah.
And I remember Randall told me about it. And yeah, I'm glad she's doing better. Do you want to just speak on that?
Yeah, just and that was one of the other reasons why I'm taking a little bit of a break here. Is 2 years ago, she was a professional sports photographer, and she was on the ground filming skydivers as they were coming in for a landing. Well, at any rate, a guy lost control and hit her feet first, smack in the face, doing plus 100 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked her back, gave her a concussion, broke some bones. She's not paralyzed, but broke some vertebrae. And to this day, she's still got pretty severe pain. But at that time when that happened, we were living in Bartow and I was playing at the Hard Rock mostly. And that time away from her, she needed help. She couldn't get around. She spent 2 weeks in ICU,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. So we've had a long come up on recovery in that as well. And so she lost her job. And so, you know, I would say for people that are thinking about being a poker professional, poker is the easiest thing to make money at if you don't need money. The
Mm-hmm.
second that you need money, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes the hardest thing in the world. And I mean, we hit some financial tough times there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not working, and my mindset changed when she lost her job and she had no money coming in. Whew, I got a bigger nut now
Mm-hmm.
to cover every month, covering her bills, my bills, our bills, blah, 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 blah. And when that happens, it gets really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I was playing in the toughest room. That 2-5 at the Hard Rock is not a
Mm-hmm.
great place to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And driving down to Bonita to their 2-5 really wasn't an option being away from her that long a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really affected what has happened over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what I'd say is,
Yeah.
when you need money, oh,
Mm-hmm.
so hard because your mind isn't right. You have to have total disrespect for money when
Mm-hmm.
you're playing at a poker table, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because then it's going to allow you to make moves that you, by the book, have to make, but are
Mm-hmm.
risks. You have to
Yes.
take calculated risks. You can't sit around and wait for the nuts
Mm-hmm.
and then put the money all in. It just doesn't work. It's not profitable. So that's what, and that was 2 years ago, and she's getting a lot better now.
Mm-hmm.
Still in a lot of pain,
Mm-hmm.
but so that's where we're at. So
Yeah.
that answers that.
Yeah. And the thing you said about mindset and having disregard for money in the game of poker, you definitely have to block out the amount of money that you're playing with
Yeah,
to a certain extent,
yeah.
just because you have to make sometimes 500 $600 bluffs,
Oh,
$400 bluffs, and when you
and then when you
depend.
do that,
Mhm.
not have your heart pounding out of your chest.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. You have to do that, and then not
Yeah.
let them know why is that guy, and that's
Yeah.
hard.
It's a difficult thing to do, and that's why it's so important for people to be properly bankrolled
Yeah,
because it just helps you. You
yeah,
know, it helps you when you're not so scared to put the money in.
right.
And yeah, it's just important to be bankrolled, man, when you're playing certain games.
Hmm.
Um Magoo, I'm not going to take too much more of your time. I'm just going to. This is something I'm doing with my guests is towards the end of the interview. I'm going to say something, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. When I say Derby Lane, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Crappy floor.
Harry Flow. Okay. Okay.
And we didn't even get into my stories there, but
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of most of the floor there.
Okay.
There's some
Okay.
good floor there, but there's some really bad floor there. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen floor managers there in the past shake a man's hand over a $5,000 bet, and when the man won it, the floor then disappears. It's just bad etiquette, bad gambling etiquette. You shake a man's hand in front of multiple people. The
Hmm.
videotape is shown. You lose, and now, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? Well, tell me about that story, Magoo. What happened? If you don't
Um,
mind. If you
yeah,
don't.
I don't know that he's there anymore. He may have been kicked out after that, but and it was Specs. I don't know if you remember Specs.
Uh-huh.
And there was something to do with how much money he brought to the table when he transferred or something like that. And the floor came over and said, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and said, "Hey, you
Hmm.
can't do this, da 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 da." And he said, "I didn't do that." And he said, and the floor said, the floor made the offer. The floor said, "Well, this is a gambling establishment. I'll bet you $5,000 you did." And then
Hmm.
Specs shook his hand, and then they went to the videotape, and Specs was right. The floor man was wrong,
Hmm.
and there was no payment on that debt and a
Ah.
gambling establishment. And
Yeah.
it's just, oh, that one made me so mad.
Yeah.
You can't even, yeah.
um. Also, Magoo. You know what? I got so much I want to ask you, but I didn't want to take too much of your time.
Oh, man, I got
Te-
an hour. I got an
okay.
hour. So let's
Tell
get
me.
it.
Okay. Going back to focusing and being able, when you say ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
um, I just Magoo, you're one of the few people that I seen can play for long periods of time and to me have no slack off. Cause I remember you played that 1-2 game at Hard Rock and you won the most money I have ever seen in my life won at a 1-2 game. Can you go into that day? Go into that day and what happened that day? And tell us about that day,
It
Magoo.
was, what? Okay, first let me back up, and I will say, I am probably the most financially successful bad poker player you'll ever meet. Okay, I've been playing professionally about 15 years.
Hmm.
How many Royals have you had?
Maybe two, maybe one.
I know a lot of poker
I mean,
players that
I
play.
had a 1 card royal for sure. A
Okay,
two
two
card,
cards,
I
two
don't know. I
cards.
don't know if I ever had a 2 card royal live.
I've lost how many? I've lost track of how many I know it's at least 7 or 8 two
Hmm.
card natural Royals playing Texas Hold'em, not Omaha or anything like that. 7 or 8 in a 15-year period. You
Wow.
find me anybody else, and that's not exaggeration.
Hmm.
In the beginning, I didn't even write them down because I thought, oh, I'll remember this forever. And then
Hmm.
3 or 4 spade Royals later, I'm like, how many have I had now?
Hmm.
So find me as somebody else that's played for 15 years, not online. This is all live action. That's had
Hmm.
7. So I will say I have always, and you can ask Jared Gray and a couple other people. Randall will say the same thing. I'm the luckiest player you'll ever meet. Okay,
You are lucky, Magoo.
I am lucky. I'm not that great player. I'm just lucky. And I'll tell you this a little bit after. We'll talk about manifestation in just a second here because I'm
Okay.
really interested in that. But yeah, that day I was just hitting everything, and the table was trying to go after me. And when you try and go after a man that's just hitting everything
Hmm.
and manifesting it, you're
Hmm.
going to lose. And that was one of those days where I was in the right mode. I was in Zen. I was
Hmm.
manifesting cards. I was calling for my cards, and they were coming. And that's all there is to that day. It was one of those days when, and then when you're hitting that good and the table is playing extra bad, you need to sit your butt in that seat. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't take a food break. Sit in that seat. And I had
Hmm.
that happen a couple of years previous, many years ago, actually in Vegas. I moved out to Vegas, and because I went through a bad breakup, and I'm playing there at the Bellagio, and I'm hitting everything,
Hmm.
everything. I mean, every single hand, I'm getting aces 2 pair. And people are calling me, and I'm even saying, I got 2 pair aces up again. And they got to call me because they got to see it. Hitting
Yeah.
everything. And I get a call from the woman that broke my heart and said, hey, I changed my mind. I want to get back together again. Meet me back in Florida. Well, I'm hitting everything right now. I can't leave this. And so at any rate, I didn't. I didn't leave immediately. I rode that thing up and then once I started missing, got the heck out and came back to Florida.
Okay.
So it
So,
happens every once in a while. If you play enough, you're going to
uh-huh.
have one of those times. But when those times happen and you're hitting everything and the table is paying you off, don't go anywhere. Don't go
Hmm.
anywhere. And don't upset the apple cart. Don't get people mad. Keep
Hmm.
them having fun. Keep them going into their wallet,
Hmm.
and you can have those kind of big days.
So how long did you play that session at Hard Rock, and how much did you win that day? At one two.
I mean, it was like 4 or 5 grand, and 30. It was maybe max 30 hours. I think that was from a Saturday going into a Sunday morning.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a good long session.
That's a
Uh,
long. That's a long time to play cards.
it is, but I couldn't leave. I couldn't
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
I
No.
had some long sessions in the past when I was younger, in my early 40s, and it didn't
Hmm.
even phase me because then
Hmm.
it wasn't dopamine depleted, and I didn't have a smartphone to look at all the time, and I had to
True.
pay attention to the game, and so it was easier back then
Yeah.
to play and not even. But so yeah, now at my age, man, a 24-hour session, it's got to be a really good game, and I got to be really hitting.
Definitely. Definitely. So Magoo, I'm gonna go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier about. Tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, because you're into different things outside of poker. You got different hobbies and things like that, and I also want my podcast to not only be dedicated to. It's gonna be start with gambling and poker, but people have a life outside of that, which which brings the different stories and the different things that you could talk about at the table. But when the first thing comes to your mind when I say dogs,
Rottweiler.
Rottweiler.
Mhm.
Okay, how many Rottweilers do you have?
Right now, none.
Yes,
Right now, none.
none.
I gave Beyonce to a girlfriend who was recently widowed, and she
Um,
needed some protection, and she needed some companionship, and Beyonce was the dog. So
and that's
she.
your, is that your favorite dog? Is the Rottweiler?
It's a good breed, man. This
Yeah,
Frenchie that I got from somebody else. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
yeah. You're
Breeds
welcome.
are just problematic. They're
Yeah.
the Rottweiler is healthy and well behaved and not an idiot, and French bulldogs
Uh-huh.
are dumb. But yeah, I do love the French. I love any bulldog, any bulldog.
Okay. Um, you are into like BMX, aren't you,
No
Magoo?
motocross. If I can give a shout out
Motocross.
right now to my sponsors, I'd like to give a big Fox thank you and Honda, and also got to give a shout out to Monster also. So my sponsors, thanks very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank them.
Nice, nice.
But yes, I
Magoo.
agree. I think that's one thing in my life coaching for other poker players that I always focus on is you got to have life balance, man.
Uh-huh.
It's really hard, when you're making stupid hourly rate. How many hours can you sit in a poker room? The place is 24 hours.
Yeah,
There's always a game. You can
yeah,
go to Hard Rock 24 hours. How many hours in a row should you sit there? It's tough.
yeah,
Back when I first loved the game,
yeah.
it was tough for me to have a life balance. And
Yes.
you got to have that. You got to have that. Otherwise,
I agree with you, Magoo. Like as I'm getting older now, I just don't enjoy sitting there for 6, 7 hours anymore.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I I still enjoy the game a lot, but
yeah.
I want to play maybe 2, maybe 4 hours max.
Uh
You
huh.
know,
Yeah,
after that, I want to do, because as I look at my life, as much time as we spent in these poker rooms,
yeah,
something else is being neglected.
yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah,
Whether it's just free time,
yeah,
family time,
yeah,
time to just anything
yeah,
spiritual, whatever else you need to work on.
yeah,
Man, we spent so many hours in a poker room.
yeah. I agree.
And as I get older, I think about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You only got so many hours in your life.
Right. I agree.
And I don't want them. I don't want all of them to be spent in the poker room.
Yes. That brings up an interesting story. Many years ago, I was playing on the 510 at the Hard Rock when it was not a $100 buy-in. It was a $5,000 buy-in. And I had built up the stack to like 8 grand or whatever. And I turned a straight flush to the eight.
Hmm.
And it was a bet to me on my right. I called it shove, 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 shove. All in, all
Mm-hmm.
in, all. It was a five-way all in. I've got the straight flush, the top end of the straight flush,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a five-way all in. Oh no. Uh-oh.
What happened? You paused, but I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
This is
Let me
off.
see here.
Okay. All right. I think we're back.
Okay, yep,
Are
we're
you back?
back. Yep, I'm back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Oh no.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't. Now I can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, I can hear you.
I can hear you and I can. Uh-oh. Oh, stupid. I'm sure it's my. Okay. Now I can see you and hear you.
Yep, I can hear you and see you too as
Okay.
well.
I was doing the best story. So I turned a straight flush. We got the money
Uh-huh.
all in. It was like a $15,000 pot. And at the time, I had a young friend who was a big time. He was very good at poker, but he would go and he would blow his money at the blackjack tables on his way out the door after every session. And he was getting a lot of really good comps. He would take us down to Miami and we'd get a room comped. And so I thought, okay, this is my time. I'm gonna get me a host. I got to start building up my score. So the next day I went over there, put $5,000 on a blackjack table all to myself. I just lost you. Are you still there?
No, I'm still there. I'm still here.
Okay. So I
Yep.
put the 5K on a blackjack table and was playing two spots for the max amount. I think it was $50 a hand. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, this will great. This will be a good start to get me rated. Well, of course, you know what's going to happen there. I hit the losing streak of all losing streaks. I mean, it was crazy. I lost
Yeah.
the 5K in like a two hour session playing $50 a hand at blackjack. And so that's when I realized, okay, let's do what we win at, and let's not be foolish at the. And occasionally, I'll go play blackjack if I had a date or whatever for a small
Mm-hmm.
amount of money. But that was my one dipping my toe into the degeneracy pool, and it didn't work out. And I never played blackjack again for those kind of stakes.
Yeah, yeah. That's the same thing with me with sports betting. You
Mm,
still there? Yeah,
yeah,
I tried sports betting for like a couple weeks in a row. I lost every time. I say I'm just gonna stick to
yeah,
poker.
yeah. Stick with
At
what
least
you got an
poker.
edge.
Yeah, at least poker. I know I can win a hand or two. You know.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, man. Before we wrap it up, Magoo, I just want to ask you, with the state of game, we spoke about the state of the game now. What would you tell uh people, a person that's going to the poker room every day? What would you tell a crowd of poker players to make the state of the game better today?
To make the state of the game better. Everybody needs to put down their phones. I really wish it'll never happen, but I really wish if I could find a poker room where you can't have your cell phone out at the table, where you need to step away.
Mhm,
If you've got your, like at the blackjack table, you can't have your cell phone in your hand. If
mhm,
they had, oh man, I think the game would be so much better because then you'd be forced to have a conversation,
mhm.
socialize. People, it would just make for a better game. And I know that's going to be boring to a lot of people, but suck it
Mhm.
up, Buttercup. I want to find a game where you don't have seven nerds all on their phone running their solvers after the last hand.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, Magoo, man, I really do appreciate you taking your time out your day, man. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, man. And I always learn a lot from you, man. Just sitting back and listening to you, man. And once again, man, I hope your wife continues to improve, her health continues to improve, man.
Thank
And
you.
thank you once again, bro. I really do appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one, Magoo.
You too.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.